on then.
Okay.
Oh,
So, welcome everyone. It'll be hard to not watch to the right sometimes, so I'll be looking away from the camera from time to time because the chat is there and also Sierkovitz is there for me because on the main screen I have the slide deck open. So, yeah, Sierkovitz and I went over the draft archetypes before Kaldheim got released. We built the decks and we discussed what we thought the different color pairs would be doing in Kaldheim. And we thought it was fun to revisit that, see how well we did. We're not going to give ourselves grades or something. It's more like, okay, what did we expect and how did it actually turn out, the different archetypes. And yeah, we'll go over that. We'll also discuss some of the cards that really stand out in the different color pairs that really are like key pieces to the different archetypes, at least in our opinions. And yeah, we also like try to put the archetypes into tiers. We didn't pre-discuss them, so it might be that Powell is actually disagreeing with me on some of the tiers. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's going to be fun, I think. Let me.
well, if my brain restarts, that's important.
So yeah. So the first slide is called credits is due. I mean, me and Powell are both working fathers actually. So we're not like full-time content creators by any stretch. So most of our knowledge is coming from the actual peeps that figure out the formats and bring us all the knowledge before we have to dive into the draft format ourselves. So yeah, I think there's some very sweet limited podcasts out there. I listed 4 here, but I know that, for example, there's also Draft Archetypes from Sam Black that is not listed here, but I listed Sam Black's information later on. So yeah,
You see, I failed in listing the 17 lands in the end. I didn't save it probably.
Oh, we'll mention it. We'll mention it. Yeah. So podcasts highly recommend. I think both me and Paul listen to them a lot, right, Paul?
Yep.
Yeah. So
I even joined one of them, but
you joined Draft Shop, right?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've been there a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, awesome. I didn't get a chance to listen to the episode yet, but I'll make sure I do.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
And there are also some great streamers, content creators out there, like limited enthusiasts. I mean, the list goes on and on. But here are some of my favorites that I really like. People that I follow on Twitter that share their deck lists or their insights that they have on the format, and I highly recommend to follow these peeps.
Could you give a second? So first of all, thanks to Jordan. That's really kind of you. Boost, the win rates are more or less the same as they used to be. So it seems like there's not a big drop. I mean, some sets they were closer to 56%, but they are around 54.3 or something. So that's what you would expect, and that's very similar to Zendikar.
Yeah, and people are also asking whether the order of this list has any meaning, and it doesn't. It's just a random combination of great podcasts and great streamers slash content creators slash limited enthusiasts. I would highly recommend each of these people. And
oh, I thought that you put Ben over Ethan on purpose.
that one is on purpose, but
okay, that's fine then.
Hashtag Team Ben here.
No, it's hashtag I'm with Ben.
I'm with Ben. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, yeah. So now that we got this out of the way, and you're aware that most of our knowledge is stolen from other people, let's dive in, right? So the order of the archetypes is not in a very particular archetype, not a particular order. So we'll just go through them one by one. First color pair I want to hit is blue-green. And this is what we initially thought the archetype would be. Pavel, could you elaborate a bit on how we thought of UG at the start of the format?
So maybe we can start with the general idea of the archetypes, because
sure.
Some people were not there for the first time. Basically, you could have 6 uncommons, 1 rare, and the rest had to be commons, and only 6 of the commons can be duplicated. So that was the limitation in building of the decks.
Yeah.
And as you can see, the color pairs not necessarily reflect the color pairs. I assumed when we were building it that blue-green will want to splash because there's tools for that. So we already put some things from other colors. And I'm looking at it and I'm really happy. I mean,
Yeah, this one you got pretty right, actually, Pavel, because maybe to quickly go to a recent trophy deck that we have here. It is very similar to what you had there at the start of the format. So yeah, blue green cards, splashes for Binding of the Old Gods, for Narfi.
yeah, you don't have Svella here, but if you had, you would put it.
yeah. If I drafted Swella, I would probably have it in the deck here.
I think that what you have here is Path to the World tree, which was not in the original one, because in the original idea we decided not to go to the full 5-color madness, but obviously that card is great in 5 colors. But it's really close. I mean, the avalanche color is... Can you go back to the archetype? I think that there are a couple of misses there. I think that, Depart the Realm is not as good as I thought.
Yeah, that is
I
true.
wouldn't want to play it. But except, well, Augury Raven is... I would probably want the Mistwalker a million times.
Yeah,
Lindwar is missing the Jordan.
Yeah.
And of course, if Cord would be listening or Ben would be listening, well, where is Jaspera Sentinel? Where is Jaspera Sentinel?
It is indeed missing out. Those are some key cards that are not...
I mean, a couple of the hits that were not obvious. I was really high on Bergstrider, and it turned out that Bergstrider is good.
Yep.
I think that the good hit is Masked Vandal, because I think I wouldn't want to play a snow deck without having at least one copy of it. And if not, then I would probably put Broken Wings or something.
Yeah, correct.
And I mean, I would pick a different rare by now, but...
Yeah, but yeah,
I think
your God of Winter...
Yorn is good when you have the black 0/4 guys. Then it's really busted, but...
Yeah, maybe we can talk about the card when we reach black-blue control. Okay, so recent trophy deck, pretty similar, and I think we can also agree that outside that blue-green is like the perfect base for a 5-color snow deck, and
yeah.
I'm not really into drafting blue-green without snow payoffs. Like I haven't seen a non-snow blue-green deck be any good. Do you agree? Like,
so I haven't. So I started analyzing different color archetypes from the 17 plants data, but I still didn't look at the blue-green, so I couldn't tell you. Okay. I looked at some other colors, and you can clearly see there's snow piles, and there is snow light, I call them, decks, and there is no snow versions of them, but I didn't look at the blue-green. I guess that if you go some kind of... Like, if you first pick Bears of Litiara, and you see that snow is completely cut, then you can try to go for some kind of shapeshifter tribal.
Yeah,
maybe
probably
with some elf splash or whatever.
Right. If you open the blue-green rare and you pick up some other creature type matter cards, then maybe there's a blue-green changeling deck that can trophy. But in all honesty, I feel that it's a base for 5-color snow above all else.
Yeah, no, I mean, if it's open, then it is. So I was failing to get on snow recently, and most of the time I started green, just not to go blue-green, because then I would have to commit to snow more heavily. Yep. And I most of the time pivoted into black-green.
Yeah,
with really good results, by the way.
Yeah, black-green, red-green. I like those over blue-green as well if snow seems cut.
Mm. Yeah. Sometimes I sort of if I started heavier on blue, I was sort of pivoting between blue-green snow and blue-red giants, and sometimes it ended up in something in between that's sort of like a Timur mid-range. That's also working.
Yeah, maybe not to stick here too long, because I think there are archetypes that are more interesting to talk about. I wanted to discuss some of the standout cards, and I think most of the standout cards here are cards that play very well in the blue-green snow archetype. I even listed 2 snowlands here because I think they're very high picks in general, like I think the blue-green Snowland is. I wouldn't be mad if I first pick it. Like it's one of the better Snowlands. I think it's a B minus in its own right or something.
Oh no, definitely. It's strong. It's just unfortunately recently people went super crazy heavy on snow, and it's just so hard to get anything. So I think that here I would maybe differentiate between snow heavy cards like Avalanche Color. I probably would want probably 7, 8 Snowlands to start using it efficiently,
Yeah.
and snow light cards like Icebind Pillar or Bergstrider. I'm happy with 4 or 5
Yeah.
Snowlands, and that should work. Or even like Svella and 4 lands, or Replicating Ring and 4 lands. It should be fine for playing it.
Agree. I find it interesting that you find Avalanche Color a snow heavy card, because I would probably play that card if I have 3 Snowlands in my deck as well. Like if
I
you
mean, I don't want it to be just a 1/3.
no, but if you
And
already find 1 land, it's good, right?
oh, yeah, it's okay.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having 1 Snowland on the board and then drawing an Avalanche Color. It's still a 4/4. I mean, it's not the not the instant win that you can have with the card, but it's still good.
No.
Okay. I've listed this archetype as a tier 1 archetype. I think if you get into the 5 color snow variant of blue green, I think it's a tier 1 deck. What will you say?
It's probably the best deck if you can get it, but right now you just can't get it.
Yeah.
So it's actually massively weakened by the fact that I mean, in the first days of the format, I was drafting snow piles with like 12 Snowlands and all the payoffs I could possibly get my paws on, and it was no problem at all. And right now, I'm struggling to put 5 Snowlands in one deck. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree there. And I also think that if you're playing blue-green non-snow, I think it's a tier 4 deck. So when I'm saying tier 1 for blue-green, I mean the snow variant of it.
Well, I mean, the point is that I agree, Jasper. It's probably a good idea right now to hard avoid snow and not to get disappointed. So unless I open like kind of a snow bomb, I'm avoiding it myself too.
Yeah, I'm avoiding.
These fellas, just sad.
I'm avoiding the heavy snow, the snow cards. I'm not avoiding the light snow cards. I think they're still strong and still playable, even though snow is contested. So
yeah. So you mentioned that the snowless version of blue green would be tier 4. I think it just doesn't really exist except for some very, very special situation as a deck. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
And the problem is that this format seems to be either hard control or hard aggro. Mid range is not super strong.
I think
unless you open Coma, yeah. But you know what? If I open Coma, I would try to go for the Reanimator.
Yep. Okay. Let's dive into the next one, right?
Yep.
So next one is red black. This is what you initially made of it. So I think you did see the Berserker sub team. Obviously, there's also
I don't agree with a large chunk of it. Yeah.
What do you think is wrong here?
Well, first of all, the Scary Firewalker is a million times better than Breakneck Berserker, so that should be swapped easily.
Yeah.
I think you should put the pup instead of the second Breakneck Berserker. I would skip them altogether. I'd rather not have them in my deck.
Okay.
Although this one had a Berserker theme, so that maybe was the reason for it. I probably wouldn't play Cardor's Vicious Return. I think that card doesn't do that much in this. This is the deck where you probably want 4 Tormentor's Helm and small creatures to equip. That's it. And the rest will come together on its own. Yeah, Feed the Serpent probably is not great either. I mean, you'd rather have 2 Demon Bolts or even the Frostbite. Cardor is still good, but...
There's an interesting statistic on 17 lands when I checked it like 2 days ago. That in black-red, the card that has the highest win rate when you have it in hand and the highest win rate when you have it in your deck is actually Breakneck Berserker. Would you believe that?
So actually, I mean, this is something that I've been sitting for the last couple of days. I told you that I'm analyzing um, some of the archetypes, like I did with Snow, but just with two color pairs. And RB is actually the first one I'm looking at. I have the data in front of me
Okay.
somewhere,
Yeah, yeah.
but I identified like 6 subtypes of the uh, black red aggro, and basically all of them have at least one copy of Tuscany Firewalker, Axgard Cavalry, and what was there? Come on, open, you silly thing. There we have it. So what do we have in our deck? So I was not prepared for it, but I have it somewhere. So
Yeah, no worries. Jordan in chat says Disciple feels weak here. I think I agree. I think what Powell initially identified is the fact that both Dead Knell Berserker and Elder Frank Disciple are pretty strong with Demonic Gift. And I think that's why he put both Disciple and Dead Knell Berserker in this deck. I think the card that is hidden on the left, due to me failing at making a screenshot, is also a Dead Knell Berserker. So I think the deck initially had 2 of the Dead Knell Berserkers, 2 of the Disciples, and then 2 gifts, because they're just they seem to be very strong together. But I agree. I mostly don't play Disciple in this type of aggro deck. The body is just too weak. And
yeah, you have to keep in mind that these were made before the set was released.
So
we had no
we're not
playing
we're not talking you down, Paul. We're just discussing that indeed Disciple seems to be
okay, so I have in fact identified 7 different clusters of winning decks, and the best one was the Black Red Boast. That had average, like the cluster identified had 66% win rate, which is pretty good.
And how would you define a boast deck then? Like what does it need?
I'm just trying to look at which number cluster is that? That's cluster number 2, and that's based on 18 decks that I identified that have 10 neighbors with the particular win rate that I told you.
Okay.
What is particular about this deck? Come on. Okay, Boast. So what are the important cards for it? It is the one with actually Death Knell Berserker is more popular in it than in other versions of Black Red.
Yep.
Breakneck Berserker is in that particular deck, so actually it has some similarities to what we built in the first day. It has Run Amoks.
Yeah, which this deck is missing, by the way. So that's a card that we initially missed out on, I think.
It has no snow at all.
No.
So I think that from the decks that I analyzed, they on average had 0.2 snowlands per deck. So that barely, and probably that like an odd dual land would be useful.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have any snow synergy cards. It has Fearless Pups, more than any other Black Red deck.
Okay.
It doesn't have Raised Draugr, which other decks do have quite frequently, but these ones in 18 decks there was 0 copies of it. What else is interesting in there? It is lower on Elderfang Disciple than any other deck. So that one doesn't exist there.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's no air in the deck, right? Like no Raised Draugr, no Disciples. Everything is meant to reduce the life total of your opponent, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's focusing on faces the place, I guess, is the theme.
And I can imagine.
So yeah, it obviously has some removal, but that just is on average the same as in the other decks. The bigger differences where the Frenzied Raiders, these are quite popular. The deck has like average of more than one Scary Firewalker. Firewalker. It has over 1 Axgard Cavalry per deck. And when you get the sample of 18 decks plus 10 neighbors, that's quite a large chunk already.
Yeah. Firewanker. Yeah. So in the
Oh, and dwarven reinforcements, one per deck as well.
okay,
Which is
yeah, I kind of like that
yeah,
card
but
as
this
well.
one is really like just creatures, and some removal to just push them through. Plus random ox is another type of removal.
Yeah. So
But yeah, there's both. There's the chunky BR that is more like we put a lot of hulks and haji mobs inside. There is a deck called Snow Light because it has some snow lands, but actually it has very few snow payoffs. And there's lots of those decks, and they have quite a high win rate on average. But they have like average of 2 snowlands, and they have Grim Troggers as the
only reason.
only snow payoffs really. Yeah. So that's a bit of strange.
Do you know from the top of your hand how that card is performing? The Grim Draugr?
I do not have the performance data here. When I look, I would have to check, and I don't have it.
How
But
how high are you on the card without knowing the data? Like, would you play it over a Brackneck Berserker, for example?
I mean, when I have a black deck that has a couple of snow sources, I'm going to be quite happy to play it. It's a good 3/2. I mean, 3/2 is not bad if it can become a 4/2 that needs to be blocked by 2 creatures, because in my black-red decks, very often the opponent cannot really afford to block with 2 creatures because they lost them while blocking my 3/2 haste guys or 3/2 scary firewalkers.
Okay, but let's say you have as many Breakneck Berserkers and Grim Draugrs as you want. Would you play, like, what 3-drop would you play?
I would play the scary firewalker. Any other questions?
Okay. Maybe
I think it's very much dependent. I probably would like to have a good mix of those, maybe
okay.
one of each.
Okay,
Depending, if I have like
I wouldn't.
3 snow sources, then yeah.
Okay, interesting. I'm lower on the Draugr than the Breakneck. I'm not sure why. Okay, let's quickly.
There are advantages of both, but the evasion of the you just need 1 snow mana to give it menace, and menace is quite a good evasion.
I agree. That's kind of strong. In the slide deck, I incorporated 2 red-black decks. And then I think there's this archetype that I like to call Berserker Go White, which basically uses a lot of small creatures and ways to augment them. Like, this deck only has 1 Dwarven Reinforcements, but I would like to play like 2 or 3 copies of that card. And then I like to use like Kennel Master, the Hammers, Demonic Gift, Draugr's Helm, Tormentor's Helm, to make those creatures actually useful. I think this is an
So more go tall, because you basically only need to attack with 1 creatures in those decks, because you will put like a Draugr's Helm on them, and then
right. But you need you need the small creatures to grow, right? So you need the Elderfang Disciples, the reinforcements to actually make them.
No. You need them to be cheap, because that way you can afford to play them and equip them in the same turn. Right. After you use the first one, yeah.
And I couldn't find a screenshot of a trophy deck that was a more streamlined version of that, like with the actual 3 copies of the reinforcements and multiple Cannon Masters, maybe even. But I think there's definitely that variant of red-black that is very strong. Or at least I try to draft towards something like that if I pick up an early hammer, for example, or something like
that. Jasper, it depends on how early I can get it.
Yes. So the question is, how high are you guys on Feed the Serpent, right? That's the question that you're answering here. Yeah.
I mean, the card is good, but because black is not good, I don't want to spend my first pick on it. But if I can get it to pick 5/6, I'm quite happy. And recently, that's where I was getting it, which is good. I think that's a good mixture of the card is good, the color is not good. So in order for me to get the card and potentially be in a worse color, I would rather get it at a decent rate.
Okay. I think it is way worse than originally expected. Like, it was compared to the rare from Ixalan that did a similar thing, right? Which was insane in the format. Raska's Consent, right? So everybody was like falling over the fact that it was a rare level card. It was now available in common. I honestly think that originally it was assumed to be one of the better commons, right? At least for me it was, and I think more people were on it like that. But
It tells you a bit how limited change. I mean, the card is fine, it's great, but it's just a solution, and we're living in a world where you'd rather have threats than solutions.
yeah, yeah, and the fact that black is not that strong. Although I'm not like like I think
It
black
saved
is
my ass multiple times in the last couple of days, so I'm not going to be rude about defeats because I still need to finish one draft where I have it. So I'd rather not have it be angry with me and stop appearing as a top deck in my last turn.
yeah. I had a similar experience as Jasper that I was like, I'm not sure if I was 25 drafts in, but I was a lot of drafts in, and I hardly ever played black. But I think out of my last 5 drafts, I was black in 3 or maybe even 4 of them, because the color is so widely open. Like I think
Exactly.
the auto correcting of the draft is happening right now, right? People are so low on black that you actually can get very strong black decks.
I think I got like pick 6,
right,
check 1.
and it's not a pick 6 card, right? It's better than that.
No, but it's a pick 6 color. I think that there shouldn't be more than 2 people drafting black at each pod, and probably 1.5. So maybe one person splashing, one person playing it as a main color. And I think that that's what we are leaning to right now.
Yep. Yep. Agree.
But it's good. I mean, I love it in my elves decks.
I also have a trophy deck here that is kind of interesting because I played a very controlling game plan with it. So I'm of course I opened the Valky back 1 pick 1, so that immediately makes you lean towards trying to play a bit of a longer game. But this deck had so much removal. It had a Shadow Sage, it had a Turgid, it had the Hagi Mob Rune of Mortality combo that I even chose draw with this deck a couple of times because I just wanted to. I had the early removal, so I was fine with my opponent running out some creatures, and I really like to answer them with either Turgid Shadow or Dwarven Reinforcements. I also like to skull raid people that go on the play. It's one of my hobbies actually. So
you look like the type, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever try something like this out? Did you ever came into a slower red black deck?
No, I just didn't draft the color combination that frequently. I did in other formats, very similar philosophically decks. I think I don't like picks in this one.
You don't?
I just think that if you try to be less aggressive, the picks lose a lot of their appeal because by the time you start attacking with them, you have enough mana, or at least you should have enough mana.
Yeah. I don't think they're in there for the mana, but I think it's a very nice way of spending your turn 3, for example, if you're planning on Turgid Shadowing. So that's,
okay, yeah, no, that's good.
that's
No,
what
Helms would be better then, I guess.
probably. Yeah, I just needed an equipment to put the Rune of Mortality on, basically, to
no, that's true.
to give multiple things that touch. That was basically the reason the picks were here. But I agree, they're by far not the strongest card in the deck.
I could use also something like reanimation, like maybe the Rise to Draugr.
Yeah, definitely. Although there are not a lot of creatures here, so it would take a while to actually have 2 creatures in the bin with this deck, I think.
Yeah, but with this number of attrition cards, you probably only need to bring back one, namely Valky, God of Lies.
That is correct.
And replay the other side. That's that's not a bad play. You play Valky early, you trade it for some creature, and then when it dies, you just reanimate it and bring back Tybalt's.
Yeah, agree. Okay, some standout cards that I listed. I think pretty standard stuff. Nothing out of the ordinary here, would you say? Do you think there are standout cards missing here?
Outside, I think that
Runamok, yeah. Runamok is missing.
That's true. I actually don't play a lot because I was focusing more on the equipment builds of those type of decks. But I think that we should maybe sing a bit of a silent praise of Dwarven Reinforcements, because this card is very unassuming, but actually it's the second best common for Tell on turn 2 after Seller of Paxmate. It's really, I mean, much better than Beyond the Multiverse, much better than the Augury Raven. This card has pretty high win rate when you foretell it early, and people just treat it as a filler, and I think it's not.
No, no, I agree. Especially if you make use of it, right? Via Dwarven Hammer or other ways to actually
Exactly.
make the 2/1s useful, then I think it's very
Exactly.
strong. Yeah, Jasper mentions Demon Bolt, but I didn't include that because I think it's too obvious that it's good. And I'm not
That is
sure
true.
I'm not sure who said this, but somebody said, and I'm not sure which creator it was, but you're either an equipment deck or you're a run amok deck, right?
That was Sam Black, I think.
Okay.
It's a really good episode, by the way. I think it's about red, white aggro.
Yeah.
And he gives a very good philosophical background for go wide, go tall, and tricks, and when to use which. And it was a big level up for me to listen to that episode. Yeah.
Yeah, same
That was
here,
a
and
really
I
good
think
one.
I think Cord said something similar, where it's like I like run amok type stuff in, for example, green red, because the creatures there are big, so you don't need to augment them with equipment, but giving them trample is very useful. So run amok is better in a big creature deck, while equipment is actually better in a small creature deck. I think that's Cord's philosophy a bit.
Yeah, Sam Black was having slightly different twist on it. He
Right,
said
right,
basically, run amok is good when your creatures are a must block creature,
right. Which is
because then you get the most value of it. So run amok is great because they not only lose the blocker that they wanted to trade,
yeah,
but they also lose the damage, and you still get the second time use the boast ability that you were hoping to. That's especially to Scary Firewalker is a prime card for run amok
yeah, yeah.
because
Agree.
people will block it, when they see it. Like Usher of the Fallen, is it? That's a prime example of a card that will almost always be blocked.
Yeah, I agree. But at the same
No,
time,
you're right, Jasper. You can run them in equipment decks. It's just that there is the conflict in mana of whether you can equip or play a trick. But yeah, you can. It's just probably you don't have space for too much of it. I think that it's good to listen to Sam Black. He gives it his rationale way better than probably any one of us could.
yeah, definitely. I have that a lot when I listen to Sam Black. I'm like, oh yeah. The thing he just said, I thought that, but I had no clue how to like explain it to my friends, so I just left it. Like,
So yeah, Jasper, you're also right about that, and that's why when he was talking, of course, about white red, but he made a really good point about Beskir's Shieldmate. Is it the 2/1 that leaves the 1/1 behind?
yeah. Boost mentioned that one. Yeah,
And that basically solves your problem because you lose one creature favorably because it was equipped or pumped with something, and then it leaves a small thing that you can re-equip and reboost. So yeah, that's why you play those type of creature that sequentially leave some bodies behind. And
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I really like the 2/1 that leaves a 1/1 in red white, especially for that reason. And I didn't figure out it was that strong of a card at the start of the format, but I really came up on it later on. Blah blah blah. I was surprised when I looked at 17 lands comparison and saw Runamok loses win rate in red green compared to its all decks average. That is interesting indeed, Setrox. I would say that Runamok is pretty strong in red green. What do you think, Powell? That can cause that drop?
I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. Especially that red green has a generally high win rate.
Right. So it's even stranger there, right?
But I think red green has so many builds, and people were way too high on Ranamok early in the format. I remember like Alex especially started like super high on Ranamok and was running every deck with 3 of them, and I don't think that they were so great in most of those decks. They didn't do the right thing, and you can see he's not playing them anymore. So clearly he came to the same conclusion.
Yeah. It has its place, Runamok, I think.
And I think that its place is better exactly in the black red or in the white red.
Okay. Interesting. I gave this deck a tier 1 as well. Would you agree?
No.
No? What
No.
do you think?
I mean, I don't think that there is the concept of tier one deck is good for this particular format because it's so dependent on the metagame. I think that every deck can be a really good, strong deck, and
Okay.
we're happy that you're misplaying. Actually, Arena is paying us for your lost gems. Oh,
Very.
trust me, if I got a penny every time I make a misplay because Alex is telling something interesting on the stream and I just lose my concentration, I would definitely have more gems if I didn't do that.
Okay, okay. I don't mind skipping over the tier.
I mean, I don't think I figured out the archetype. So for me, it's not a tier one archetype because I
Okay.
didn't figure it out. I've seen like Icky playing it, and he clearly has it nailed to the dot. So he would have it as a tier one. I think that this is the kind of a format where you really need to know what you're drafting and know the plan.
Oh,
And
I
if you
100% agree.
understand, so I assume that for you it's tier one because you drafted it a lot. I see from your trophies that you drafted it successfully.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, you know how it works. I still didn't get the proper hang of it. I know how to play against it quite well, but I never got the perfect drafting of it. I think that some of the things that make this deck work well are counterintuitive to my style of playing, and I just misconstruct them. And I get to like this, the 4-3-5-3 deck maybe, but I will never get like a masterpiece.
The Jordan says this can be tier 1 if Snow is S tier. That's funny.
Snow is S tier if it's open.
Yeah, if it's open, yeah. And Boros over Rakdos all day, Jasper. I think I have Boros listed as tier 1 as well, but that's a surprise for later. And I'm not sure if I have one above the other. And I think you said a very interesting thing there, Paul. I think the tiers are very personal, and they have a lot to do with like how you like to play your games. Like you and me are both pretty aggressive players, right? I think it also has to do with the fact that we watch Corticals play a lot, who's in the same boat. So of course,
Well,
then you.
trust me, Alex is a very reserved attacker compared to what I'm doing.
Okay, and I'm pretty conserved when it compares to Court, so I think I'm more of a mid-range player than in that sense. But
There is no plan B for me.
but
It's win or bust, but at least it's quick.
But yeah, definitely tiers are very personal. So don't put too much stock in them, peeps.
Yeah, I told in the previous stream that Theros was a terrible format for me, and yet with blue red tempo, I had 75% win rate across, I don't know, 12 drafts, and I still got like a 53% win rate on the whole format, which tells you about the rest of my format that I was doing there. But I mean, I definitely nailed the tempo deck, and when it came together, I just like almost always trophied. So yeah,
Yep.
just because I understood the archetype and it made sense to me, while the other ones didn't make sense at all.
Yep. Point. Let's dive to the next one. Oh right, red white.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
That was the initial archetype I did.
Yeah, this is the
I mean,
initial draft archetype you did. What do you think?
It's not terrible. I still think that, of course, the Scary Firewalker would do much better than the Breakneck Berserker. I think Valkyrie's sword probably can be changed with a pick or a helm.
Yeah. I think we missed this one, honestly. Like Jasper is pointing out,
some things will work.
This saga here is definitely close to
No,
unplayable if you don't have the mythic, I think.
Yeah, you need a better target for it.
Yeah,
Master Skull doesn't work in it as well, I think.
Yeah, I'm missing helms here. I'm missing the pick.
Yeah.
Like we can be hard on ourselves a bit.
Hey, because I made them. No, but I agree. I agree.
We can be hard on yourself a bit. No, right? I don't think we had this one as figured out as some of the other ones.
Yeah, and I still didn't really figure out red white. It just doesn't work. Even if I drafted some very good one. I drafted one with what's the saga that draws 4 cards? Something of the skulls.
Yeah, Showdown.
Showdown of the Scouts and the 4/4 Haste Dragon, and I went 0-3 with it because it was
that's one
two
that
games I drew 10 lands each, but one game I drew 2 lands, and that's sort of evened out to 0-3. But yeah,
that's a story you should have kept for outside of the stream, I think. No, no, I'm joking. No, let's look
yeah,
at
I mean,
let's look at some actual trophy decks, and this one is from G Ash. Highly recommend following him because he's sharing some
oh,
very interesting
Jihash
trophy decks.
is first of all, he's a very entertaining streamer.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's not forget about it because he's fun. But he's also outside of the general limited content creation circuit, which is good because he's got some fresh takes, and sometimes he will like put you a bit outside of your comfort zone if you're used to listening to Alex, Ben, and Ethan.
Yeah.
So yeah, Jihash is dope.
Yeah, he has some personal takes, I would say, which I like.
Although here you cannot really disagree with anything, no. It just misses Clarion Spirit, really.
Yeah. So Jasper says I was there when he played this. We're both huge on Valkyrie's sword. Yeah. Do you ever play out Valkyrie's sword, Jasper, without creating the actual angel? Like
Sometimes.
I was never in a spot that I did that. Even it was the last card in my hand and I was missing like 1 mana to get the actual angel.
When I miss 1 mana, no. But when I miss 2 mana, I had it like the Pegasus, the Courser,
Oh yeah,
and
so
4 mana, and I just played for 1 mana, equip it, hit for 4, and they are at 6 life, and they have 2 turns to deal with it. And
yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that's one of those spots where you do it. Personally, I just was never in a spot where I played it without the angel. Maybe that's just me.
Oh yeah, by the way, the write-up that Jihash made on the limited format was really good. Yeah, I read it too.
Yeah, I recommend that one. I agree.
Cosmos Elixir in that deck. Oof.
Yeah, that's interesting, right?
It surely would work, but
what do you think of the triple bounding gold here?
I'm still not really a big fan of enchantment-based removal, but I have to admit that Bounding Gold is probably the best one that was printed in last. Probably the last good one was the one in Terrace Beyond because it exiled as well. But this one is close.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And because he's got such a low curve of creatures, this is just to stop the blocker and squeeze in 1 more attack or something. So yeah.
Yeah, agree. I totally get that game plan here. Like it. Bounding gold, overfeed the serpent. Yeah, I definitely
by
agree.
the way, this is the big difference between our build and his build, and I think that this is a big upgrade. He plays Axgord Armory, which is way better than the Saga and fulfills exactly the same function. And Axgord Armory is actively good because it doesn't cost you much to put it in. You may pay the price of not being able to play the Raptor on turn 1, but apart from that, it's almost free in terms of what it does.
The white red land is actually very good. I think getting back, like getting a bounding gold and an equipment is insane value.
Yeah. No, that's super good value. Yeah.
That is just sick.
Especially when the equipment is Runed Crown, and then you get also a rune for free. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, fully agree. Okay. Standout cards in the archetype. I think it's clearly an aggressive deck. I think it actually cares about equipment, which is why I like Call the Fort Monster here. What do you think of the Battle Shield Warrior? Do you like it? I'm wondering how.
I prefer it in white green, but
yeah, because it's more go-white.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think
so
that
I would maybe put Ruined Crown instead of Battle Shield Warrior, and I agree with that selection.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, have fun, Jasper. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for joining, Jasper. Yeah, I agree. I think a Battle Shield Warrior is a miss here by me. I don't think it's crucial in red-white, and it's way better in white-green.
It's still annoying, and it's a very good lightning rod for removal. People always kill it when they see it, so that's something.
Yeah, that is good.
It's something to keep in mind that I play some creatures even without being able to use their very good abilities, just because I know people kill them when they see them, so I just play them to get the removal out of them. And if they don't kill it, I assume they don't have a removal, so I can play my good things.
Yeah, Avalanche Collar is a clear example there as well. And a good reason to play it in the deck where you are very light on snow, I would say.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
Okay. Yeah, I made this tier 1. I think most people agree. It's just.
Yeah, I think most people will agree.
You don't?
I think that I'm if you see my play this season, I basically buy followers. We can buy followers. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Let's see
Shocking.
whether I
Anyway.
can. Okay.
I don't think I play anything successfully that does not have a green in it.
Ah, okay. That's interesting. Well, I think the next one is a green one. There we go. Red green. Your initial draft archetype suggests a light splash, I think. Yeah, we splashed for Yorn here, right? The backside of Yorn probably.
Possibly, yeah. Which I don't think is needed really, but this is very close to a very successful red-green build that I never managed to draft, but I've seen the results of it. But basically, Snow Beatdown green-red is the most strong version of Snow deck that I've seen from the 17 lands data. But I don't know how often it comes together. But it's basically just green-red, no splashes, no dirtling, just beatdown with Tuscary Firewalkers, with all the normal Axgard cavalries and stuff like that. But, introducing Svella and Spirit of Older Guard and Icehide Trolls, and it has amazing win rate.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I think Arnie Slays the Troll is just insane in that deck. Because you just, play the Troll turn 3, attack with the Troll, give it indestructible, hit for 4, or kill something, then play Arnie Slays the Troll, kill another thing. Whew. Here we go.
Yeah, that is strong. Do you feel it? So I think this initial draft archetype is pretty spot on, except for maybe the unnecessary Urn splash. But do you feel that your red green decks in general are playing snow cards? Because for me, they don't.
They rarely come together, but it's just because of the lack of availability of snowlands. If the snowlands were easy to draft, I would play this deck all the time, because adding Icehide Troll to your aggro is just giving you so much more reach.
No, agree.
You sometimes miss those last couple of damage points, and with this you can just chuck it at the opponent until they get tired of the resources. And Arnie Slays the Troll, Skemfar Battle, I want to say Battle of Skemfar.
Yeah, Battle of Skemfar.
Yeah, I mean, these things grow it, and then it just becomes. If they don't have feed the serpent, how are they going to deal with it?
I think it's struggle actually.
Yeah,
struggle
for yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's a struggle for them, I guess. I mean, there are a couple of misses here. I mean, I'm sure that Hagimop is not so great. I would probably have put second Linda.
Yep.
Because Linda is the truth.
Or maybe even the 5/5. I don't mind the 5/5 from time to time.
5/5. Yeah, I don't mind the 5/5, but the extra point of the extra toughness is quite important. Snakeskin Veil is not so great. I think, from what I've seen from the 17 land data of the winning RG Snow Agros, I think that actually Glittering Frost is not bad, because with a couple of Sculptor Winters, you generate so much mana that you overwhelm your opponent by that kind of stuff.
That is interesting, because Glittering Frost is a pretty slow card. But I guess since it enables the Icehide Trolls and
exactly
ramps you into the worms, it could be good.
Yeah, it is a pretty slow card, but if you play second turn Sculptor of Winter, third turn Glittering Frost, turn 4 Linda, and then turn 5 Icehide Troll, then you can survive that slowdown for a second.
Yeah, agree. Let's look at some of the recent trophy decks. This one is more of the.
This is more snowless, yeah.
It's snowless, and it's more of the stompy variant with the Outrider, the Lindworm, and the Giant. Yeah.
But the Birgi gives you so much reach in the late game if you play it for the other side.
Yeah. The only thing I like to mention here is that I think X-Guard Cavalry is really strong in this type of deck. Like giving your Hawk, your Outrider, and everything basically above 4 CMC haste. It's just insane if you're on the offensive.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just so strong.
I've been really, I'm really scared of the Cinderheart Giant. I mean, this card, I know it's 7 mana, but once it hits the table, it's so hard to deal with this bloody thing. And it always kills the right thing. Always.
Yeah, yeah. I've been in spots where it was this, like I had 4 creatures, and if it killed one of the 4, then it would be sad, and all the other 3 would be fine. But I've also been in spots where it's kind of easy to play around it, or somehow set it up that we trade board for board, or that I use my 2 remaining creatures to kill the giant, and then the ability does nothing. I'm not sure. I'm not that impressed with the ability, to be honest. Like if you have a board where you have actually extra creatures that the ability is going to kill, I mean, you're pretty ahead anyway, I would say.
Sometimes, I mean, this sometimes drops on some kind of a board still. My favorite one was when the opponent had it, and I had Droger Necromancer, and I blocked this giant with the Lindworm, and it died, and the opponent is like waiting for it to kill something.
Yeah, but it exiles
and
it.
then I can see their mouse running over my Necromancer, and like, Then I
Yeah,
play the next turn, and
that's the feeling. That's
yeah.
the feeling. Jordan mentions the fact that the giant is playable is so annoying to me. Yeah, I somehow agree. Like, it feels so unplayable, right? 7 mana, 7/6. It's so clunky. But
Come on, it's better than what was the 7/7 for 6 mana from? Was it M19?
which one?
I forgot it. This was green for 6 mana, 7/7 vanilla, I think.
Okay. Like, but I don't think the Cinderheart Giant would be playable if X-Guard Cavalry was not in the set. Like, I think the fact that you can give it haste from time to time, like, makes it playable.
I think it's also, it's also playable because in some blue-red decks you will get that 7 mana.
Yeah, you can cast it earlier as well.
Or with, like the Giant Saga, you can play it for cheaper as well. So
yeah, I agree.
Like you played this one and you have Agar on board. Whew.
Yeah, no, agree. This one is.
But come on, I mean, no. This.
I wanted to show this one off.
This one you built yourself in like deck builder. You didn't draft that stuff. Come on.
This deck was insane, and I wanted to show this deck because it was so similar to your original take, right? Because it's red, green, X, like similar to the one you're at, but then way stronger. This deck.
Yeah, of course. If I could put Immerstern Predator rather than Jorn.
Yeah, this deck was sick, and splashing the Predator is so insane. Like,
no, it's not so insane. You have Path to the World Tree.
Oh no, insanely good. I don't think I ever had the Predator in an actual red-black deck, but I played the card every time I saw it, basically.
I played it a couple of times, and I think every single time it was in the red-green aggro. Actually.
Yeah,
that's probably a secret red-green aggro card.
Yeah, this was one of the easier trophies that I had. This one. So I think they're.
Oh my god! It gives double the counters if you have foreign clicks.
Oh yeah, that is sick. Yeah. If you have foreign clicks out, it gets double the counters.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That is definitely correct. So in red green, I've been building two type of decks actually, and I think Sam Black was on the same. Was on something similar in his podcast. That there's this go white archetype where the Doomscar Titan is actually playable. Where you basically play reinforcements, play the mentor just to go white, and then play the hammer and Titan to make use of those. And I think there's the more like the Stompy archetype with the Outrider, the Lindworm, Cavalry to give them haste, run amok to make them go over everything basically. I think these two are actually like different builds of the color pair.
Well, I mean, I guess it all depends on how many pack mates you have. If you have many pack mates, you can go lower, cheaper creatures. If you don't have many pack mates, you probably have to play more expensive stuff because you will never get enough cards to overwhelm someone with the small ones. So.
No. Yeah, and I think also the more pack mates you have, like those are just general good cards. The less streamlined the archetype will be that you're playing, right? Because you're slamming that in any deck. whether you're trying to go wide or go big, you're slamming pack mates basically. So,
I mean, of course, I mean, if I go on green, I have to have some pack mates. What's the point of playing green if you don't have them?
yeah, true. Okay.
But yeah, I agree with the ideas of the builds.
Cool. And I ranked his tier 1 as well, but again, personal preference. I just really like the archetype. I think both red and green are very strong colors in this set, and I think that when you end up in this archetype, the average strength of your cards will be pretty high, like in general, because the cards
I think that every combination of Naya colors is really good.
Yeah, agree.
Some of them because of the card power, some of them because they come together so readily.
Yeah, and because the cards interact very profitably with each other. Yeah, agree. Green white. This was your baby when we did our archetype breakdown the first time.
Okay, some mistakes were made. Scrap the Iron Verdicts, scrap the God's Hold Guardian, but for Battlefield Raptors, I stand by that. I mean, Arachnoform, before the set was released, everyone was saying this card is trash. And now people think that it's trash, but sometimes can be playable in green white. So I was right.
You were right. Yeah. No, it's definitely playable, especially with 4 Raptors in your deck. I mean, definitely.
So I think that, I mean, changing 3 cards.
Arachnoform is
I think
busted.
I made it. I would definitely also now change the Snakeskin's Veils into King Harald's Revenge. I would put Jaspera Sentinel because if you have Clarion Spirits, you want to have it, as you saw.
Yeah.
So some minor twitches, but I think that the general build that I proposed there was not far off from what I want to build right now.
But the one that you proposed, if I remember correctly, you post this more as a Boggles archetype, right? Where we're pumping up the Raptors with our Cleric counter, the Arachnoform, the wings, and we're protecting it with Phil, right?
Cut 2 lands, yeah.
Yeah, probably cut to land here. But I think when I end up in green white, and I like to end up in green white because I think the archetype is pretty strong, it's mostly a go wide deck, right? I'm not playing this Boggle style thing. I'm more just going white and then slamming a Maya or something else that boasts the team. Wouldn't you agree? Like,
I think it. So, can you actually show on the screen the screenshot I sent you from the yesterday's green white adventures that I had?
let me check whether it's in the slides, and if it's not, then we'll. It's not, right? Shall I put it in?
I don't think so. No, I just sent it to you before we.
Shall I put it in quickly? Give me a sec.
Yeah, sure. I don't know how Twitch works and how easy it is, so forgive my ignorance.
Boom.
That's good to be only a guest on the stream. You don't have to deal with all the.
Let me see. You sent me a black-green one, a red-white one, a blue-white one, and a white-black one.
No. I sent you. I think I sent you just the screenshot of the board state.
Oh,
just today.
Right. I'll bring it up quickly. Okay. Bum. Okay, stay with me, peeps. We're adding a slide here. Professionals. How do I add it? Add a new slide. Give me new slide. There we go. Boom.
There we go.
Okay. Boom. How big do you want it? Is this big enough?
That's big enough, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell me about this. What's happening here? Oh wait, the bird. Wait. The bird was under your camera. We need to have the bird in here.
Oh, okay. No, you want to see the bird.
This is
bird is the word.
A nice trivia piece. Like, okay, what was his turn 1? What was his turn 2? What was his turn 3 to get to this board state?
Yeah, turn 4 didn't happen.
Turn 4 didn't happen.
But basically, this is what I want to do with my white-green deck right now.
Right.
Turn 1, Jaspera Sentinel. Turn 2, Clarion Spirit, Usher of the Fallen. Turn 3, Raptor and the Gladewalker, and the opponent scooping. Even though they could have let me play the next turn and kill them with King Harald's Revenge for 7. So yeah, a bit of a flavor fail from opponent, but I understand that they had enough. And I think that without foretelling Doomscar on turn 2, you can't win that game, really.
Agree.
As an opponent. No, I mean, so Clarion Spirit is just a broken card, and this is how you should go wide in this format with Sentinel and 1-drops and Clarion Spirit. Because any game that you will start Jespera Sentinel into Clarion Spirit into whatever 1-drop, you are probably like 75% to win, or maybe more even. And 75% or win or more is the level that we're entering by foretelling Starnheim Unleashed on turn 2.
Agree.
This is much easier. This is much easier to assemble than drafting a mythic rare and drawing it on the second turn. So yeah.
I have another one for
Is that
you.
the? Okay, yeah. This is a classic Boggles example that you build your Voltron and you protect it probably with the Veils. Yeah. So this is more of the this. I love it that they put it on a 1/1 elf warrior token. This is like particularly nice flavor.
Let me credit let me credit.
It's Ronald Gagne, yeah.
Yeah, indeed,
Yeah, no,
indeed.
I mean they were playing white green. I think every single time I visit the stream. So yeah.
There we go.
But
Credit.
this is close at least conceptually to my idea from before the format, when you will build like a big. I was thinking about Battlefield Raptor, and then you protect it with the Snakeskin Veil. Only we couldn't go like full on it because we had the restriction for the build. I already broke them by putting 4 Raptors because I thought that they are essential, but
Yeah.
I can see that whatever thing you put it on it's gonna work. But my God, this is mental. This deck.
This is mental, yeah.
So just what, mulligan to one of the 4 creatures that you have, and that's it.
Yeah, the more you look at it, the greater it becomes. No. There's 3 shield mates. There's a Vandal. There are 2 pack mates. 2 Usher of the Fallen, a Raptor. So you're
2 bows, yeah.
2
And 2
Sentinels.
Jespera
So you're pretty likely to hit a creature there on your opener.
Oh well.
Just
Yeah, I
one
can see
fail
that work.
though. So there is a certain fail case with this deck, I think. But clearly, opponent did not manage to remove the elf in time. It seems here from the screenshot. Yeah, so good stuff. Good stuff. I like it.
But yeah, I mean, going back to the, so this is your trophy deck, the go
Yeah,
version.
this is more of a general go wide. It's less insane than your turn 1.
Yeah,
But it did the thing right. It has 2 Usher of the Fallen. It has the Shield Mage, which I really like. It has the Mayas, which I really like. So yeah, just good stuff overall. King Harold's Revenge. I think shout out to King Harold's Revenge. Who would have thought that card was actually good? Oh, you thought so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you did. But yeah, it turns out it is, right?
I mean, you know, to be fair, I also thought that the one from Ikoria would be strong, which was sort of similar, and it wasn't. So I'm maybe like a broken clock, and second time around I was right by staying exactly in the same position I was when I was wrong for the first time.
Yep.
No, I mean, I did notice that this card is significantly different by giving trample. The other one did not.
Yeah. And I also use it a lot on my 2-drop, just to kill my opponent's 3-drop, I noticed. Like, so it's turn 3, my opponent played 1 creature, which is a 3-drop that I like to remove. I'll put it on my 2-drop, make it strong enough so that my opponent's creature dies and mine stays alive. I make the attack, and it's basically a removal spell at that point, right?
Yeah, I killed the opponent, played Spirit of something, the 0/4.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that many snowlands yet, but I knew that it's coming, so I just like played it on my creature to give it 4 power attack, and they had to
kill the bear. They had to block it.
Although I mean, my favorite uses of the card is with Finn.
With the death touch, yeah.
Yeah, because then basically all the damage goes through. So this is my kill spell. I build the board. I clog the board. Have like 7-8 elves on the board, and just play it on Finn and kill them by trampling through 7 damage. Or with King Harold, because Menace they have to block with 2 creatures, so you can just basically 2-for-1 them.
Did you know that that Finn and the Helm work very nicely together? because the creature is actually dealing the damage with the helm. So even if opponent blocks, they're still getting 2
It doesn't
poison.
work. Finn has combat damage. I know. I tried.
Isn't it not working? But I think it was.
No.
Oh,
Finn
then.
has whenever the creature deals combat damage. I know because I thought I got my opponent like that, and I was feeling very
Oh.
smart on myself, and then I lost Finn, and then I lost the game because it didn't work.
Does it say combat damage? Yeah. Oh, that's
I think it
unfortunate.
does, yeah.
Oh, I was trying to draft that deck yesterday, but I couldn't get there. But I was.
I mean, I have
It's
many
combat
poison
damage.
kills.
Yeah, it's
I
combat
have many
damage.
poison kills on my under my belt in this format, so
Okay, sorry peeps.
I should know in theory.
I was enthusiastic about something that does not exist. Okay, can we talk about Bradagard's Stronghold for a sec? Because that card is very strong as well. The fact that it's only 4 mana.
I only have pain from it.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I think I even put it in the standout cards. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Rune of Might also.
Jordan, I play a lot of elves, and I always build my elves with the potential for poison kill. And trust me, they are super easy to set up with Finn because people don't block it for the first 3 times.
That's correct.
And then one time you they have once they have 6 poison counters, you play the Binding the Old Gods and watch the panic while you have 6 creatures on board.
Anything you want to add on these standout cards? Like I think I focused on the go white factor
yeah,
here.
I mean obviously Raptor is good, Jaspera Sentinel is good.
Yeah, agree.
So I think that the pick is only good in this deck because of the Battlefield Raptors that you will have, because they will always go through, and then you can really afford to have then you can play those 15 lands and still have enough mana to do your shenanigans. I mean, I played 15 lands and I played the Valkyrie Sword and I played it no problem for mana because I had so many treasure counters from the pick.
Yeah, but I also like equipment in general in this deck because you have so many ones.
I like Rune of Might more than I like the Rune of Sustenance here because I really think that the extra toughness is important.
Yeah, definitely. Although the trample is less relevant in this this archetype.
It is less, but the +1/+1 is super important. And like pick giving +2/+2 is just so powerful.
Yeah, for real. For real. Okay. I think I made this tier 2. Again, personal preference.
I mean, people would disagree. I think that this deck is so open right now that you can draft it. Of course, keep in mind that these are the standout cards because probably you didn't put the obvious ones, but Clarion Spirit is the best card for the deck.
No. Again, I stayed away from the Demon Bolts type of cards. I wanted to highlight Beskir Shieldmate, for example, and King Harold's Revenge, because I think they're stronger in this archetype than you would give them credit for, based on just looking at the card, I would say.
I mean, I can dive a bit deeper into poison kills, Jordan, when we get to black green, because I have.
Let's do that. I think I put your deck there.
I have a very good working knowledge of how to operate the black green.
Unfortunately, we have to go through red blue first here. This was your initial build. Credit where credit is due, I think, Paul. You were pretty spot on.
I mean, depart the realm was maybe not. And Augury Raven, maybe you can replace with something else, even Lithiara Kinseekers or something. But it's all right.
Right, and I think Depart the Realm is a playable card. I mean,
it is a playable card.
It's not that great, but if it's my 23rd card, I'm not unhappy.
You know what I think I like about this build that I identify early is that Frostbite and Bind the Monsters are very important for that deck because it doesn't have early plays, really.
Yeah, that is correct. That I like too.
Oh yeah, Invasion is great. I was high on it from the beginning, and the fact that I could wheel it reliably. I mean, lots of my early plays in Kaldheim was Giants because it was so atrociously open. I mean, I could get Basalt Ravagers like 6th, Invasion of the Giants wheeled, mental.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Boost is still here, but he was pretty low on the Invasion, and I was with him at first. But yeah, I'm getting higher and higher on the card as well. I can really.
And this card replaces itself. Playing, Bergie S for 3 mana and having still something for something else is just good.
Yeah, it's just good. I don't think I realized that at first.
I'm also happy that that I was high on the Frostfire Arcanist here.
Yeah, yeah. Would you
Because
play
I
it?
think,
Would you play it with this setup, like the double frostbite, double squash?
yeah, that's enough. I
I
mean,
think
of
so
course
too.
you would prefer of course you would prefer double Demon Bolt or double Glimpse of. I mean, I played Frostfire Arcanist in a blue-white deck with first of all 2 plows and 3 oxes, uh, and second of all 2 Behold the Multiverse and 3 Glimpse of Cosmos. And trust me, Frostfire Arcanist with three glimpses of Cosmos
Pretty strong.
is something.
I
It's
think I
something
think
that
I have
like
that
this.
screenshot later on in the deck as well.
Okay, yeah, I think I sent you that.
So
Yeah.
Jordan is going as far as calling it almost behold. The invasion of the giants. I like it.
Yeah, that's not far off, Glimpse is just mental. Okay, that's one of
Uh
your trophies, or is
yeah,
it?
this is one of my trophies. It plays the Arcanist as well with 2 beholds, 2 Runashores. It has 2 Icebind
Mhm.
pillars, so it was a bit of a slower deck, I would say, with Sard coming, but it had enough creatures to finish the game eventually. Agar with Dwarven Hammer, by the way, it's insanely strong. I noticed.
Wowee.
Uh,
Just make sure to assign trample damage right.
yeah, make sure to do that. Make sure to add 1 extra damage to actually draw the card, but I really like it. I've also been liking the Surtland Frostspire a lot. Um, in general, I've been liking the lands, but I've been liking this small board wipe as well. And
So this is the biggest issue I have with elves. I sometimes play and the opponent plays the Surtland Frostfire and
mm-hmm, yeah,
that one's gonna be tricky.
yep, yeah, definitely. You see it coming, but still, it's
Oh
going
yeah,
to
Redain
come.
Shield is the another one, you're right. When you trample through Redain Shield, make sure to leave that 1 extra damage,
Oh,
please.
Redain Shield on Arena is horrible. Like the
Yeah, I
fact that
know.
you have actually assigned the damage correctly yourself before it. Oh man, Sam Black
No, no,
was
no. Let's start from this. This card is made from pure misery.
the
There's nothing
backside.
positive about it. I mean, the only positive thing is the 2/3 flyer, and that's it, because the ability on the flyer is also misery.
Mm-hmm.
This card has been designed to make your opponent miserable, or to make you miserable if you're the opponent. Nothing else. It's just for misanthropic bastards that want to make other people feel bad.
Okay,
I love it, by the way.
yeah, so this scenario, right? You have the shield out. Your opponent has a 5/5 trample. You have a 1/3. Do you block the 5/5? Even so, this is the scenario where you can actually take the damage and lose the life. Are you still blocking just to test whether your opponent is going to assign the damage correctly? Like I am in most cases. At this point, I'm just blocking the thing. Like, give me the trample damage. You'll get there.
Oh, but I mean, 2 Runashores.
I'm
Also, I mean, good with Frostfire Arcanist, of course, but did they work well?
I'm pretty high on Runashore actually. I and I'm not the only one. I think I hear
Oh no,
multiple.
no, the car is perfect. I'm just questioning whether 2 is not too much.
I kind of liked it here because it's a bit of a slower deck. So I was getting to 6 mana quite often, which is why I like it. I was also playing a
Mm.
Harbinger in this deck, so yeah, I liked it honestly.
Mm. I mean, Arcanist, talking about it, I often play just 2 Dwarven Reinforcements in Arcanist, and I have enough staying power with the aggro decks when I spew out 4/2/1s
Yeah,
without losing a card, really.
yeah, I would definitely have played another copy of Reinforcement this deck if I could. Oh, like it. Interesting one.
Oh, that's a Jihash. Oh, he played the Flesh Giants.
What is off in this deck compared to the blue-red decks that you were mostly playing?
Look, I've been killed by that play pattern by playing the invasion on turn 2 and then playing or on turn 3 and then playing the undersea invader on curve, it's scary when you play some like tiny aggro against it, and all of a sudden those 5/6s start appearing, and you can't do much about it. And also, I mean, the fact that they had Calamity Bearer does not help, because you spew out a couple of the big giants, and then you put Calamity Bearer on the table, and although Goldvein pick here, just mind-boggling.
Yeah. Like, why do you think why do you think the 4 invaders here were playable? Because honestly, I'm mostly off of the card. I hardly ever draft it. It immediately.
It's only playable in a deck that has multiple invasion of the giants for me.
Okay, so that card makes it playable here for you.
Yeah, because you play them for 4 mana, which is okay.
Yeah.
You would pay 4 mana for a 5/6, even if it comes to play tapped.
Yeah, correct. The Jordan calls it a God's Hall Guardian that taps to cast and taps to attack. I like it. I like
the
it.
The 2 attack difference is huge.
It is
because Godhall's Guardian will just like infinitely bash its head against anything with 4 toughness, while this one doesn't.
Yeah, no, that is correct.
This one requires Linda to counteract, and if you don't have a Linda, oops.
I thought it was pretty fun to share this one. I really liked it. Also,
but I really like the small flavor that you actually can give them also haste with Axgard Cavalry.
Yeah, that's very useful indeed. Notice the sideboard, by the way. There are 4 Frostbites in the sideboard. There are 3 Frostbite Arcanists here. But there was definitely the option to include multiple Frostbites and then get them back with Arcanists. But GS...
I don't understand why he played Bind the Monsters and not the Frostbites. That's a bit mind-boggling to me.
It is interesting, I agree. Anyone in the chat?
I wish he was here last time. Oh, good old times. Remember when Jihash was in this chat? Remember?
He mentioned that he was at work actually, so.
Oh, okay.
You build it only to beat control.
Well, those fires are not going to extinguish themselves. That's for sure.
That is for sure. Okay, that's a good one, Jordan. That's a valid point. That is built to beat control, and that he boarded the Frostbite against aggro.
That makes sense.
That makes sense.
I did play control against an opponent that played 2 of those plus the 7/7 and the 8/8 Kraken, and it was a pain. And in the end, I won that game only because I killed my own Koma's disciple and milled them. But I couldn't kill them through those. No.
Yeah, 3k Arcanist plus 4k Frostbite is insane, right, Jordan? That's very sweet. Yeah, I can imagine that wrecked aggro decks. Yeah, standout cards, so pretty obvious. I included most.
I mean, Agar is the most important card for that archetype, and let's stop there, because yesterday I played against Giants deck. They played Agar, and I was like, to kill it, not to kill it.
Kill it.
And in the end, I decided, okay, I have 1 turn. I played a creature.
You don't have 1 turn.
I played a creature, and I got squash at the end of turn, and 2 squashes on their turn. Cleared my board. They drew 3 cards.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
I won that game.
No. You never punished. Okay, I got this one tier 2. But again, personal preference. But
I mean, I think that this is one of the strongest deck if it comes together, but it needs multiple cards to come together, including Agar, including Glimpse, and at least one of the rares.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure about at least one of the rares. I think you can build it at uncommon.
It's not positioned well in the current sort of Diamond Mythic metagame when people play a lot of super fast aggro, because this deck is fragile to a slow start.
Yeah.
That's why I think that maybe one card that is missing from here, if I would be playing it in the ladder right now, I would make sure to put Crash the Weak.
Yeah, it's pretty strong. I main decked that in the Shield Open, and it performed very well. I liked it. The Jordan is saying I think it's the best 2-color deck if you get it.
Yeah,
I agree.
I had some really strong ones in the early format, but then people learned.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the cards.
You don't get pick 9 invasion.
No, and also the fact that Bergstrider's stock went up by a lot.
Yeah, now like I drafted a couple of days ago. I drafted giants, and it was clearly open because I got Agar, I got glimpses, I got other giants, but Bergstriders, not a single one, and not a single squash because people also learned that squash is really good in
Yeah,
green and red.
with the
So
changelings. Ooh, black white. This was your initial build. I think you were pretty heavily building it towards the cheap spell double spell here.
and I agree, and I still agree that it was a. So I don't know. Did you hear the Sam Black's podcast on Black White?
Yeah, I really liked it. I immediately started to build black white control right after that.
Okay, but remember when we did the initial thing, I told you this is the aggro version. I'm pretty sure that there's also a control. And I'm so happy that Sam Black, after a long time in the format, said basically that if you build black white, you neither have to go very low down to the earth aggro or a control. And there's no mid range. So I identified it quickly. And I think that there are a couple of mistakes here, but generally I agree with the choices, at least in terms of philosophy here. Also, I'm happy that the only expensive cards I put were Furia and Shepherd of the Cosmos, which also he said that these are excellent cards in those aggro builds because you have a lot of 2-drops and Furia is just good.
Yeah, but I do think Furia is better
Unfortunately,
in the control version, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, this deck rarely comes together.
Agree. Yeah.
It's just weaker. It's just black doesn't have 2-drops, and that's it.
That is correct. We had this very strange discussion in the limited community around Blotsky Berserker, and people were actually calling it a bad card. I disagree, right? I mean, it's pretty insane, actually, I think.
It's a good card. It's not in the format that can actually make it shine. And I think that the deck that fits it best is actually black-green.
Okay. I've
Because
liked
in
it.
black green you double spell till very, very, very late. You still have so many.
I think Berserker with Run Amok, insane. So main phase 1, you drop a small creature, you attack with Berserker and a lot of other stuff, and then they block, Run Amok, Berserker grows, you kill 2 creatures. I like that play pattern so much.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, but I did the same with the Wings of Cosmos.
Yeah, it does a similar thing.
And then you still leave it as a blocker. So I mean, there's plenty of things you can do with the card. I just still think that either you play black with lots of village rights and lots of rubbish 1/1s that you can sacrifice to get the extra spells and few lands, or you play black green where you actually double spell because you play Harald and then you reanimate Harald and draw another elf, and then you reanimate Harald again, and then you raise the Draugr and play Harald and draw another elf, and you can, I think the biggest berserker I cultivated was 1717, and unfortunately it was under the pacifism.
Yeah.
But at some stage I drew Masked Vandal, and the situation changed very quickly.
Yeah, sweet. I think I have 2 screenshots here. One of a double spare.
That's mine.
This is yours,
I'm very
right?
proud of that deck. That's how it should look like.
Yeah, 4 Berserkers. I think I also found a GHAS screenshot that had multiple Dusky Berserkers. Yeah, insane, right?
4 Berserkers and a Clarion Spirit.
Clarion Spirit, yeah.
And look at the plethora of 1 costing spells. That's
right. Yeah. And a Turgrid and a Furia just to top it off. Yeah. Insane deck. Must have been.
Yeah, no, that trophied quite easily, I have to say.
Can imagine.
Even after the inclusion of Duskwielder.
Yeah, because there are definitely some cards here that are sketchy at best, right? Duskwielder, Velo of the Worthy. I would even consider Wings sketchy at best. Wings of the Cosmos. But I can definitely see why you're playing it here.
This is just to make sure that I can play the turn 2 Berserker, turn 3 Berserker, and something, and I have 2 3/3s all of a sudden.
Yeah. Totally valid. Like the deck, really loved it. This is one of mine, and I think it's more of a control version.
That's an attempt of control. Yeah.
I definitely tried to build something similar to what Sam Black was describing there. You see that I'm playing.
I like it.
I'm playing a couple of tapped white off-color snowlands. Just to get the priest going, just to get the priest working. I only had 2, which I was a bit sad about, but I had the Starnheim Unleashed to get the free wins. and turned out to be a pretty decent trophy. I really like Coma's Faithful in this deck, by the way. I'm pretty high on that card right now. The 3/1 lifelink that puts cards in the grave. If you're
No, I mean,
if you're using your
I'm
graveyard,
using it a lot in Elves. I'm using it a lot because it fills in your graveyard for like Harald's unites the Elves or.
Yeah, but it plays nice with Razor Drogger. It plays nice with Way Down. It's just a good card. I like it.
No. There's nothing wrong. And this extra 3 life that you get from it is just, you kill a creature, gain 3 life. All of a sudden, this race is not so obvious. I mean, I very often like fall behind in some deck and play Coma's Faithful, and this is the turning point for the whole game.
Yeah.
And there are no pingers, or 1 damage cantrips.
Yeah, that's sick,
exactly.
To Jordan. That's a very good point.
If they have a Hajimop, that's a sad story, but then I can always put a pick on them or something.
Yeah, and did you have the pleasure of playing Coma's Faithful and then using the Houndmaster to give it +1/+0 and indestructible? Because that's
no, but I played
King
Harald's Revenge for it for 9, so.
Oh yeah, that works as well. But the Houndmaster with Coma's Faithful, that's something else. That swings a race like nothing else.
I mean, exactly, and the point is that this card can easily stay back and let them attack into it.
Yeah,
do you want to trade yourself Packmate with this rubbish?
You trade 1 for 1. You gain some life. You're actually gaining value, but because your deck is using the graveyard and opponent's deck is probably not using the graveyard. Yeah, just a great card. So I made this split between double spell and control just to highlight some of the cards that I prefer to have in my double spell deck. Of course, I'm not passing up on a Clarion Spirit if I'm playing the control version of the deck.
Nope.
But I am passing up on a Blotski.
You miss Village Rites in the double spell. I think that this is the most important card for the deck if you want to make it work, because you need at least 3 of them.
That's fair. You need at least 3 of them. Okay, that's bold.
I think to make it work, yeah.
Okay. That's
Otherwise,
fair.
you just run out of gas.
I agree, it's an important card. Do you like Jarl in the deck? Because I do. I really like it with Battlefield Raptor.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it works with some things. I'd rather not because it's a bit too expensive. What I do like in the double spell one is I think what I talked about in the original, and I didn't change my mind. I like those interlude cards that allow you to draw a second spell, but you still do something, like the land or even the black equipment that gives +2/+2 and menace.
Okay.
Something to do with your mana while you're waiting for getting a sec. Because sometimes you like have this one code spell cleric in hand.
Yeah, and nothing to.
You think like, okay, I'm not going to play code spell cleric as a 1/1 without any value, so I'm keeping it in my hand. But then on the other hand, I'm not doing anything for the turn. I can sacrifice something to do Great Hall of Starnheim. I can maybe equip some bigger equipment like the sort of Valkyrie or Droger's Helm, just to give you something to do in that turn, and you actually are using your mana efficiently. So
yeah, I think those are very hard decision points. Those 3 where you can either contribute to the board, like apply more pressure or stuff just by playing out the 1 spell that you have, or holding it to get some value later out of your Berserker or your Furia. I think those are very interesting lines.
Yeah, and also the same for the double spell. That Razor Draugr is great for that reason, because you will get 2 spells in 1 turn, basically.
Yeah, fully agree. You can get a cheap creature back, and you can play both Draugr.
Activate your Dread Rider. Maybe not in the double spell, but in a control, I would happily do it.
Activate your Dread Rider. That's a good one. This is tier 3 for me. So there is a tier 4. I actually think there are archetypes that I play.
This is the red blue from Eldraine all over again. The biggest disappointments. I was so much looking forward to this deck, and I was so much looking forward to the double spell deck in
F tier. I had it at F tier.
F for Furia.
F for Furia. But I think since I managed to draw to draft successful control versions of the deck, I bumped it up a bit. Like I think the control version is actually pretty decent. There are a lot of ways to gain life. It's very strong.
I would recommend the Sun Black take on it. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I would never play it because it requires too much thinking and making good decisions in a row, which is not my strong point. But I'll stick to the I'll stick to the occasionally trying black white if I think that black is open and I get like super late village rights.
Yeah, Jordan is making a good point that the Scald is great in both versions. I agree.
Oh yeah,
Getting
yeah,
back
yeah.
a bounding goal, or yeah, very strong. Like it. Okay, blue black.
Oh, I'm having a break now. But
um.
actually, I mean, honestly, can you take over for a second? I'm gonna make myself a tea because I'm
Oh yeah,
dry on my
sure,
throat. Yeah.
sure. Go ahead.
And
Go
also,
ahead.
I don't have anything to contribute in black green, as I thought it was rubbish before I started. I still think it's rubbish. I would like to point that my identification that the trickster god's heist is good with Elderfang disciples stands.
So to Jordan, you're saying you're never seen this deck in real life. You mean blue black, right? Never seen blue black, right? That was not concerning the white black um that we were talking about just a second ago. So blue black it's said to be a control slash reanimator deck. And as the Jordan is mentioning, I haven't seen it much in real life. I did manage to find some trophy decks, so I'll bring one up. This is a control reanimate version that I somehow built myself. As you can see, I was blue white flyers for a sec because I drafted the Epiphany. I had a Raven, I had a couple of Mistwalkers, but white was just cut off from all directions, and I couldn't really get a blue-white deck together. So I managed to pick up some black cards to salvage it, and I tried to go into black white of black blue reanimator splash white. And what was also very interesting this draft was that I was getting a lot of snowlands. As you can see, I got like 7, even though I wasn't really picking them very highly because I wasn't going to be a snow deck in my mind until like end of pack 2. Yeah, I think this is one of the very few blue-black decks that I actually drafted, even though it's not entirely blue-black, and it trophied somehow. I think I had some very lucky lucky draws, basically the correct spells, and yeah, it got me there. But definitely a rare archetype to get into. Yeah, this was a pretty nice version of it. I like this one. Um, see, do I have more? No. So this was honestly the only one that I could find. I even checked limited resources, the Lords of Limited Discord. I checked the trophy section if I could find an actual clean blue black reanimate deck, but it was simply not there. I think highlights like the Priest of the Haunted Edge Razor Draugr interaction is just insane. Like returning returning 1 or 2 removal spells to your hand is just sick. I like Mistwalker when I play Razor Draugr because it combines with any creature type. I like Koma's Fateful in this type of deck because it not only fills your graveyard, it also keeps you alive. Yeah, Elderfang Disciple is really nice with the Trickster God. Fortunately, I only got one. I'm playing Brine Barrow Intruder and a Carvel Harbinger here as well to give away with my Trickster God's Heist, basically. The Hailstorm Valkyrie I kind of like because it's a very neat way to end the game. Because it can be a huge flyer if you want it. Plays very well with Elrond's Epiphany, honestly, because you can like get the extra turn and then use all your snow mana to get the big flyer through. I really like that. Only 1 feat of the Serpent here, which is pretty sick. If I would be sketching a blue-black control deck in my head, I would probably play more. But I only got 1. So yeah, the only version of the deck that I ever managed to draft and it trophied. Standout Cards. I think I wanna highlight something that I learned from listening to the Sam Black archetype episode on Black. the fact that Ascend the Worthy and Cardus Vicious Return are cards that are picked very late. They table a lot. They are very clean ways to return creatures from your graveyard to the battlefield. So they go very well in a reanimate style deck. And also the Hawk, being able to pitch big creatures into your grave. I very liked the thinking there. So I haven't been able to get this blue black splash deck together. Hey, Bubble, welcome back. I went
Are we
on.
done with this?
Oh, we're close to done. So I had one trophy deck myself, so we talked a bit about that, and now we're on the
Looks
standout
sweet
cards.
from the first glance.
Oh yeah, so I was just mentioning that this was I was drafting white blue at first, but I noticed that white was cut from all directions, and that black was rather open. So I managed to scrape this deck together and got the trophy, mainly due to the snowlands flowing, because I wasn't picking them highly at first, but I still managed to got like 7 here, which was pretty sweet.
And also like all the untapped ones, which is great.
Yeah, which is great. So that's the trophy.
Especially with the Narfi.
And yeah, I have some strong Sam Black influences here on the standout cards. I listed the Scent of the Worthy and Cardus Vicious Return because I think they're great ways.
Did you play the 2 mana draw spell that mills 2 cards in the graveyard?
Yeah, I could have listed here as well, right? The strategic resources.
That one is good there.
It wasn't in my trophy deck, but it's definitely playable. I think it fills a similar role as the Hawk, right? You use it to pitch cards, which I like. Cards that I like in the control version: Disdainful Stroke, Carful Harbinger, Blood on the Snow. I listed the rare here. I stayed away from rares, but I listed the rare here because I think you only end up in this archetype if you open a Insane Bomb like Blood in the Snow, and then you can definitely try to draft it. But outside of that, I'm never getting into this archetype basically.
Yeah, I think that it suffers from black not having flyers. Like normally in every format you will have at least a couple of common flyers in black that will make it work because you have some extra.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point.
Reach.
Although at the same time the uncommon flyers are pretty good, right? The 2/3 Death Touch and the 2/2 that you can pump with Snowlands. And they are flowing. I mean, you can wield those.
Yeah.
So
the 2/2s definitely, but you won't have enough snow nowadays.
Okay. I listed this as tier 3, but it might as well have been F tier. I fully agree. It's very hard to get into. I only got into.
Like I don't want to. I'm not planning to draft it.
Right.
And I'm not looking forward. I'm gonna be pushed into drafting it.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Your baby. Give it to me. What's up with this?
I think I got it pretty well. I mean, I would put definitely the Mask Vandal now and a couple of extra of those +1/+1 changelings, but yeah, that looks decent.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, you could probably trophy with this deck.
Yeah, I agree. I
mean, this is not far off from what I was playing. Basically, you have a Finn, you have Harold, you have Harold's Revenge, you have lots of elves.
No, I actually think
you want to have at least one of those rares.
I actually think you nailed this one.
You have Binding with Finn, which is a great mini combo. And trust me, Jordan, you can easily kill people with poison counters in this archetype. You can really.
Yeah, let me see. I think I have your deck here, right? This is the one?
Yeah, this one killed, I think, out of 7 games, 4 of them were poison kills. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have 2 Finns here, right? And the Razor Draugr, so you were probably maybe even getting the Finns back. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a warrior, right? So you can get Harold back with it.
Yes, and I did multiple times. And also you can get it with Harold because it's a warrior. And I had a Binding, which basically I sometimes like played the game when I spawned multiple 1/1s by sacrificing the Elder Hall, by recurring Harold with Return Upon the Tide. And then I just played the Binding of Old Gods, waited for chapter 3, and the opponent just Sometimes they killed the Finn one turn before, and I just played another Finn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's savage. Remove the Finn next turn, play another Finn. Yeah, you're playing a Return Upon the Tide here. I think that's a highlight, right? I really like that card. It's so
This
good.
card can wheel so reliably as well. I mean,
Yeah,
and with Harald, you just run into those situations when you foretell it on 2, play Harald on 3, block the whatever 3/3 they produced, reanimate Harald with the 2/1/1s, get another thing. I think that with this deck, I played Harald 4 times in one game, and I ended up with 2 Haralds in my hand still. So, and I never missed a draw from them as well. Like the big problem was actually sometimes when you play Comas Faithful in this deck, you are close to milling yourself by the amount of cards you draw. And this archetype, as I've been drafting it time after time, because I was pushed into it really, and I got like late Harald or late Harald Unites the Elves or something like that. It plays weird because it's pretty rich in 2-drops, but those 2-drops are so unimpactful that you're very often quite behind after first 4 turns, let's say. But then from turn 4, you all of a sudden start pulling ahead by just generating the board massively by reanimating things, drawing extra card, not missing land drops and things like that. And at turn 6, all of a sudden, your opponent is out of answers, and if you play one of the rares, they can't win because either Harald unites the elves if you have like 6 creatures on board. If you reach the chapter 3, you just eradicate their board, and if they stop attacking you and you have Harald on board and 6 creatures, you just play the King Harald's Revenge on Harald. They need to block with 2 creatures and lose them all of a sudden, or you build a wider board and just kill them with the Finn.
Yeah.
And I never had the 2-mana one, but the 2-mana one is obviously the most busted one of them all. The one that gives +2/+2 to all your elves and Death Touch for 7 mana.
Yeah,
and it generates an elf every time you play an elf, which
yeah,
is just insane.
that's a sick one. I'm not sure if I added the trophy deck. No, I put your deck in. Mine was very similar, but it had the 2, and it was just insane. Yeah, every time I played it early in the game, my opponent had no chance of winning.
And also Tyver. I mean, Tyver is so good.
Yeah. Jordan, thanks for the compliment in chat. By the way, I'm happy to be able to inspire someone of your caliber, as Paul described it. I want to highlight the Gladewalker interaction because I think Guardian Gladewalker is very good with both Jaspera Sentinel, because a 2/3 reach is just insane. And also tapping the Gladewalker is rather free because it's a 1/1 body that you can tap, and it doesn't really cost you much. And I like Gladewalker with a 2/2 that makes a zombie if it has 3 power. That combination is insane, right? You're not playing any here.
Very often.
But
because here you also don't want to have too many equipments. I prefer not to have any. I don't think pick is the right card for this deck. I sometimes play it, but
yeah, I play it if I have the 2/2, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
If you have the 2/2 that makes a zombie, then you play the picks just to make it 3 power.
Elvish Bow is good in this format, in this archetype, really, because that just basically stops anything that relies on flyers. So that's good in that way.
Yeah, it is.
But apart from that, sometimes you just don't have enough ways of making the 2/2 a 3/3, so you get the bonus when they die. And the Gladewalker is just great for that.
Yeah.
Here I didn't have them, but it's also on Finn. It's just shockingly good. Finn is becoming way better as a 2/4 than as a 1/3. It's massive because you can't double block it then.
Yeah, I agree. I can quickly up the deck. I mean, we've been doing this multiple times now, right? So
leave the space for our faces.
Yeah, I tried.
Okay.
Work? Yeah, probably work. Yeah, it's fine. It's only covering the lands. This is the one that I had.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah,
very similar.
The only thing that I wanted to mention is that playing off-color runes when you have Jasper is so insane. Like I noticed that. Like I like playing 1 or 2 off-color runes when I have the crown, but of course it happens in some games that you draw the rune and then you have to choose hand with the rune crown to get the off-color rune out of your hand. With Jasper in the deck, you don't need to choose hand, right? You can always play the off-color runes. It's so
Yeah,
sick.
same goes with the pick also. I mean,
Same goes with the pick. I just noticed that interaction and I found it very strong, so I wanted to highlight that because I really liked it.
another card that I found. I mean, obviously the rest is quite obvious, but one card I found really interesting in this deck is Turgid's Shadow. I know it's weird because you're heavy creatures, but very often you play it at a big advantage to you because you manage to outgrind the opponent. They have only 2 creatures and you have like 6,
Yeah, you have
and 2
two
of them are 1/1
1/1s.
elves. Yeah.
Right, and you sack them. Yeah, I
So it
agree.
all of a sudden becomes almost a plague win. I just lose insignificant resources while they have to get rid of something pretty useful.
Yeah,
I won the games with it. Sometimes just by like trading aggressively, and they continue playing creatures, and then all of a sudden I end up with an empty board. They have 2 creatures. I play this, and we restart, and I planned around it, so I'm starting on a way better situation.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a very good point. I didn't think about that, but this might be the deck
Oh,
where the shadow is actually good outside of turn 4. Like in most decks, you
mm,
play it, you hope to get it in your opening hand. You foretell on 2, you don't play anything on 3, or you play an artifact or a vehicle, and then you solve the Turkish Shadow on 4. And if that's not the play pattern that you can do, then you rather not draw the card. But I think you're right. This is actually one of those archetypes where you are fine drawing the card, like turn 7,
mm.
turn 8. Yeah, it's a good
And
point.
another card that is not bad in this archetype in some builds is the Raider Scarf.
Yeah,
Because you have a lot of 3 power creatures.
yeah, due to
Like
the
even
faithfuls
look
that
at
I've
here, you
here.
have 3 Faithfuls. Exactly, you might
Right.
as well tap them to get
You
a
had
4/4.
you had the heralds here, which similar elderly
Exactly.
mentor, also a great way of crewing it. The 3/2
Yeah.
that makes a 1/1, very decent. Yeah, like it, like it. Also note that Gladewalker makes your sculptor a 3 example. Also a nice interaction there.
So Tata Jordan, on the same note, I do like playing the Turgid's Shadow with Glittering Frost, because playing Frost on 3 is very inconspicuous, and then you can just slam it on turn 4.
Yeah,
Even without foretelling, you can foretell something else.
yeah, fully agree.
Oh yeah, and obviously, I mean, Scam for Shadow Sage is nuts, and it also can get late. You can get it late.
Yes, Scam for Shadow Sage is nuts indeed.
And don't do what I did a couple of weeks ago when an opponent I attacked with something, and opponent blocked with Scam for Shadow Sage, and I basically went out of my way to kill it.
Yeah, that wasn't smart because he probably raised the
No,
Draugr the next turn and killed you, right?
yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Was I playing
Twice.
against you? Because that happened for me, but then the other way around. I had
Oh.
one out that game, and that was that they killed my attacking 2/5 that they could have also just blocked with a random like 2/3. They decided to block it with a 6/6. I reanimated them, hit them for 8, and won the game. A game that was
No, that wasn't
unwinnable the
no.
other way around. So yeah,
That
people,
wasn't.
don't kill the Shadow
I
Sage.
did even worse. I had it blocked by it blocked my troll, and I pumped the troll enough to kill it, and then regretted it instantly. Well,
Yeah.
you learn, you learn.
Yeah, you learn. Like the lesson here is don't kill the Shadow Sage. Basically, that's what we're trying to tell you.
Mm.
Take the
Let
2.
them work for it.
Yeah,
Because the one drawback of this card is it's hard to kill. You need to have something. Village
Village
rights are
Rights.
great for that.
Village Rights
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
clean way of killing it and being able to
Tergrid's Shadow.
target Shadow. Works as well. Herald's Revenge on it when they have a fin out. Yeah, stuff like that. It all works. I gave this tier 3.
I think it's tier 1 deck.
Yeah,
Really. I mean,
because it's so
it's
open,
not the strongest,
right?
but it's so open.
It's
Yeah,
so
exactly.
open, yeah, but
It's,
that'll change. I think after the seminar that Core did, after all the hype that it got on Twitter, I don't think this will be as open as it was in the upcoming week. I would say, but who knows?
Wait, I'm gonna go
Oh, it's definitely
check my
better than Black White.
check my 17 lands.
Do that. It's definitely better than Black White to Jordan. I fully
1,
agree.
2, 3.
I think I had Black White in
3 of my last 5 drafts were elves.
But was it due to that you opened a sick rare, or like because I only go into the deck if I open that? That's why I listed the rares here. Like I need to say either a War Master or a Unites the Elves, pick one, or maybe a Herald very late. But outside of that, like, there's not many reasons to go into Elves, right? Like,
So the first one, I first pick Packmate, second pick Harold,
okay, that's fair. Second pick
then
Herald.
fourth pick. Yeah,
What?
there was a relatively empty booster. I could have taken a Path. I could have taken Struggle for Scamfar. But I mean, Harold is a good card, so I'm just not afraid. I got like um, fourth pick Scamfar Elderhole, fifth pick Feed the Serpent, seventh pick Feed the Serpent. So you know that black is open, and that makes you more comfortable with drafting it. And then
Yeah. So while you're
yeah,
looking,
no, I mean then it just went easy. I didn't have I think any of the broken rares.
okay. Jordan mentions that Gosh also mentions that he only goes into it when he opens a sticker rare. Like if I'm presented with a pack where I have a Struggle for Scamfar and a Herald, I'm probably on the Struggle for Scamfar, and I would probably end up green whatever second color is open in my seat. Like I wouldn't end up green black probably. Because like
Mm.
there are just not that many great black cards outside of the elf synergies, I would say. Yeah, I'm on struggle there as well,
Okay,
Jordan.
like the other draft I got like pack 2 pick 4 Tyver
Right.
in a pack that also had Harold. I think that means that elves are open.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
pick pack 2 pick 5 Harold unites the elves. I mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
I
those are
was like
definitely.
I was on the and then pick 7 feed the serpent. I mean, I told you that they're going way later
No, no, I'm
nowadays.
if I have a green pack one, like I open the pack mate, I open a struggle, and I continue picking green cards. Like I might end up with a 5/5 and a 6/6 after pack one, and
Mm.
nothing really good in any all of the calls. And I see those late elf cards, like late pack one or early pack two. Then yeah, I'm on the black green. Well,
So that's why I picked this Harold quite early. In all cases, when I see it, I will pick it because usually the cost of wasting a pick is small, but not having Harold in your elf deck is really painful. So
okay, okay,
this way, it's a speculative pick. I did the same in Zendikar Rising with the red green elemental, Bushfire elemental. It
okay,
was
okay.
it.
I was
I
never.
picked it usually quite early because when I saw a lot of the O1 dogs, I started drafting ultra aggro landfall, and it usually worked.
Okay. Yeah, the comparison to that archetype is not a bad one. It's
Yeah, that's
bound
also. I mean, it's an archetype that's good when it comes together,
right, and it's
but to
playing a
come
lot of
together, you must at least try putting it together.
yeah, it's playing a lot of bad cards, and that's why you're not naturally getting into it by
Exactly.
by picking just the best card in the pack.
But you
Yeah,
can easily at least give yourself a chance of getting into it if you see it's open by picking speculative cards like the multicolor uncommons. And if you get past rares, then you're in the game.
yeah,
And if not, then you can always pivot yourself out into some kind of a junk pile.
yeah. Okay. Blue white. Initial draft archetype pretty heavily focused on the Fortel story seekers to
Yeah.
stay alive, I guess. Depart the
I
realm.
still think that this deck can exist.
I think so too.
It never came to me. It's like it never happened.
No, no,
Nico
no.
Defies Destiny is trash. It's garbage pile.
Any colossal plows in chat? Yeah, yeah. Oh, I have a little treat from Paul. Like two sheets from now. Um, yeah. So this was a trophy deck that I found from G-Ash, which is actually actually a Fortel deck. Like I hardly see these decks. But this is very similar what you built
Mm.
initially. Like it has the Vega, it has the Nico Defies Destiny, it has the double story seeker to stay alive.
It has
Um,
it
I
has Starham Unleashed. It has.
It has Starman released. Yeah, it's very good to mention that. It's one of the stronger
That's
ones.
a decent foretell card. Just 80% win rate when you foretell it on turn 2. That's just
Okay. So you think this only exists when you open bombs like that, or like is that what?
I think that it's only good when you open bombs, yeah. Or if you go the plow way,
That's not fair. The plowway you
which you
said.
can.
You said the plowway. Uh, elaborate on what you mean with the.
This deck was a masterpiece. It was a masterpiece of Ox Plow. I mean, look at it.
So, for some reason, you got your hands on 3 glimpses, and that's probably why we're playing the Kinseekers here, right? Not.
Yeah, definitely. And the Predator. A Pretender, is it?
Right, the
Never.
Pretender and the Arcanist to get the glimpses back.
But to Jordan, this deck was amazingly resilient to anything. Like, I didn't get any snow. I still played the Bergie S with one snowland. It also the off-color tap land, but why not if you have only one? But I think that this was the deck that Clarion Spirit was generating stuff really late into the game because I could play 2 glimpses in one turn if I drew a glimpse, or glimpse and a spell, then glimpse and another spell. So I could override them with those 1/1 flyers. The Tiara Kinseekers were holding the fort, and Colossal Plows were just like, you can sometimes win out of nowhere because you just draw turn 2 Plow, turn 3 Ox, and Augury Raven. That happened several times.
It amazes
But
me.
yeah, I mean, without 3 glimpses, this deck would have been poor.
Right. I fully. Interesting. I wouldn't recommend folks at home to actively watch drafting something like this. Like, do you draft the plow highly, or was this just an experiment?
uh, I got the Plows very late in this.
Yeah, right.
And then I got them like, I think late pack 1 and late pack 2, and I didn't have any Oxen, and I got 3 Oxen in pack 3.
Yeah, okay.
So it was luck. It aligned well. But I think that this is the deck that actually actively wants Ox anyway, because you want to clog the board on the ground, and then you want to play some flyers and kill like this. So that's why like Iron Verdict is good in this particular build. Any flyer would be good. I mean, Shepherd was good because it could reanimate the Colossal Plow.
Fair enough.
Another tech. And Plow is good. It's like -1 mana to kill a creature opponent controls. It's not bad.
No, that's.
And you gain 3 life, which is good for your kind of controlling archetype.
Oh. I can't imagine myself drafting anything close to this anytime soon, if I'm not like forcing it hard, because I can't
Well, you
imagine.
wouldn't get 3 glimpses nowadays, I think.
Right, right. I can't imagine a sequence of picks where I end up in a deck like this.
To Jordan, I did it once.
Yeah, Bloodline
I did,
Pretender on Ox.
I did play a Bloodline Pretender on Ox once because I had like 2 Ox in my hand and I didn't have a Plow, so I didn't play them early. I played the Bloodline Pretender and then 2 Ox, and then I played some Shapeshifters, and it became bigger. So I did it. It happened.
Your opponent knows what's up when you're doing that, right?
Well, they knew. Yeah.
So like similar to what was mentioned in chat earlier, that I am aware there could be a control version of the deck out there. I just haven't been able to draft it, but I can imagine that if your pack 1 pick 1 is a Doomscar, pack 1 pick 2 is a Beholder Multiverse, that there's a world where you try to draft blue-white control. I just haven't seen it yet, but I can definitely imagine that being a deck. And
I drafted Doomscar several times, and I think I played it once.
Okay. Yeah, I had this discussion with a couple of friends earlier this week whether you put Doomscar in your red-white aggro deck. I'm not a fan, but I can see it working.
Me neither. I played it in a. Let me see. I played it in some kind of a. It had Storm. Very often, my game plan was play Doomscar, follow it up but with the Starnheim Unleashed for free, and that's how you win. That's the kind of a deck I was having.
Yeah, Jordan.
And these decks don't come very often.
No, agree. The Jordan says normally I pick 1, pack 1 Doomscar, regrettingly tried for 3 picks and then just discard it and draft without it. yeah, recognizable.
Yeah, so
Recognizable.
my deck was basically snow, Esper,
Yeah,
and it had like priests for early drops. Oh, it was not even Esper because it had paths to the world tree. It was not really 5 colors, but had
was
Ascent of the Worthy, Starnheim Unleashed, Behold the Universe, Drug Recruiter, Bergstriders, Firja,
yeah.
Narfi, Doomscar. It was weird. It
I can
went for free, so I'm not complaining. But
I can imagine that you splash Doomscar in a 5 color pile.
mm, actually, I know this one had sufficient numbers of white. It had a Story Seeker. It had a Doomscar Oracle,
Okay, so white
Starnheim
was one
Unleashed.
of its main colors then.
Yeah, because also I could get my hands on snow-covered plains, so that was the easy thing was to put some white cards when I got the plains.
Yeah, definitely helps.
Mm.
I think I gave this tier 4. Yeah, I'm kind of
I
off.
mean, in the end, do tiers mean so much? Is the
They don't mean
question.
much, but like what I meant with the tiers is like how likely am I going to play this archetype when I sit down to
Yeah,
draft,
yeah.
and I think this is one of the archetypes that uh I'm very
I mean, I would like to have a good deck from that archetype.
oh yeah, give me a good deck of any archetype, but it's more like
Yeah,
what
exactly.
is the probability that I end up in blue white in any given
Very,
draft?
very, very slim.
It's
Very slim.
very slim, very slim.
It's again, you're losing so many good cards from that archetype to the drafters of multicolor snow piles. That's the
Yeah,
tragedy of it.
indeed.
And people are still insanely high on Iron Verdict. They shouldn't be. Like people put that card in aggro so often that it's.
Yep, agree. That was the last slide, Pavel. We went over all 10 archetypes there. I liked it. I mean, looking at your initial builds, I think 2 or 3 were pretty off, like out of left field. But I think like 5 of them were spot on, and the remaining 3 were
Get in.
like I remember when we did this, we were like, okay, Zendikar, all the archetypes were pretty clear. We hit that out of the park, and here we were very reluctant in presenting our initial archetypes because we were just not sure, right? I mean, we were grasping at straws for many of them.
Yeah, no. I mean, no one was really sure. I mean, these archetypes, some of them are good hits now, but if we did this show like a week after the release, probably would say, "Oh, that's rubbish. Elves are just garbage."
Right, right, right. So it's
So
interesting
maybe it's
how
gonna. It took some time to crystallize, but
I think
it turns out the ideas were good.
yes, yes, and we took this particular moment in time because the meta lines up with our initial archetypes, right? So we did that
Exactly.
perfectly.
Stack the reality according to your needs.
Well played. Oh, 17 Lands is updated by the way. So the
Oh,
17
good.
Lands is now also listed on the credit where credits due slide. Again, highly recommend anyone here following these people if you aren't yet. Big thumbs up for all of these content creators. They gave both me and Paul, I think, right? I think I speak for us both if I say that these people inspire
Yeah, I
our
mean,
drafting a lot.
I know all of them, but some of them I just don't have time or energy to properly follow. Like I know Vivail is really great, but
Yeah, I like
just
him.
don't have enough time in the day.
Shout out to Fulfill. He helped me build my sealed open deck both on day 1 and day 2, which was awesome because he was in those both days as well, but he still took the time to
Nice.
help me out there.
If I can give shout out to someone, it's to Max, also known as Hululu, who is the person that figured out how to get the replays from 17 lands, and that's amazing work. I mean, to get that thing out.